Welcome back to Dead Good Book Reviews. I'm Judith and you're watching another What I'm Reading Right Now video here on the channel. I have a little bit of a cough, sore throaty, phlegm stuff going on. The tests say negative. I'm just a little bit everyday sick. So bear with me. I'm also filming this on a Friday. I normally film these on Wednesdays to give myself quite a lot of time, so if you're watching this on Friday, well done me. And if you're watching this on Saturday, slightly less well done me, but still well done. I debated not filming this because, yeah, I am ill. I could stop. But something about this little completionist brain went, no, a video every Friday. Do it. And you know what? I do actually have some exciting books to talk about because I have finished 3 books since the last time we spoke, which is amazing. I hadn't finished a book in too many weeks, shall we say, which you will totally find out if you go back and watch the previous 2 What I'm Reading Right Now videos. But I finally finished a few things. First up, I finished The Discord of Gods. And I can't be bothered to insert the angelic music. You're gonna have to use your imaginations. This is the final book in the Chorus of Dragons, the A Chorus of Dragons series. I actually really enjoyed this. It was tough going at the start. I think it took a while to get going. I think that's partly because it does actually require a little bit of setup again, which is interesting. But the second half of this book, absolutely fantastic. It just rolled along. I actually ended up finishing it, reading it physically, which I wasn't expecting to do. I thought I would be audiobook all the way, but I found that reading the ending just in the book actually really worked for me. I think by that point my head was in the game, and it was just... it worked for me. It was good, which is nice because it comes full circle, because the first time I read Ruin of Kings, I read it physically to end physically. It felt good. I obviously can't talk about this one too much without completely spoiling it for you, but I was really satisfied by how it ended. A really solid series from start to finish. One of my all-time favourite fantasy series. Probably. Kind of want to do another reread. I'm not going to do another reread right now, but it will come in the future. Maybe 2020... let's give myself a year. 2024, we'll do a cheeky reread maybe. One of the other books I finished is The Stardust Thief by Chelsea Abdullah. This is the one that sort of... I don't know if it's right to say it's kind of Arabian Nights themed. It features elements of stories that are also in Arabian Nights. I think that's probably the best way of putting that, because I don't know Arabian Nights well enough to know if this is retelling any other elements of it or if it's just pulling ideas in. So yes, jinn killers, hunting for relics, magical stuff, princes pretending to be other princes. It was a good time. This didn't blow me away. I wasn't really expecting it to, if that's not too rude to Chelsea. I believe this is her debut though. I think so. So I'd be very interested to read more of what she's written in the future, because I think this has really solid bones. I'm not sure. For me, 5-star reads and excellent reads is so much often a feeling, which might mean it is a 5-star read for you, because as I say, there was nothing really wrong with it. It took me a long time to get into, for one thing, because I think that getting the hang of the various point of view characters is important, and I had that typical thing where I didn't feel like they were different enough to begin with that I could easily discern them without going back and checking which chapter I was in, and that always bogs me down, and that's definitely a me problem, but worth noting. The actual story I thought was really solid, really interesting. The setting is fantastic. Yeah, I would recommend reading it, I think. I wouldn't go in expecting to completely open up your world, blow your mind, do everything you wanted, but if you were looking for more djinn magic kind of stuff, I would say this is a recommendation. I can't remember if this is the first book in a series or not. How did this end? I am pretty sure this is the first book in a series. If not, they've very much left it open to be one. So I would be very interested to read more in this world. I think that would be really cool. And I think to explore some more of the ideas of the metaphysic that they've brought in, I'd like to explore it. The other thing I finished was digital. I finished Empress Crowned in Red. Oh, if that's not what it's called, I'm going to be really annoyed, but I'll put the cover up. This is the sequel to Witches Steeped in Gold. I did not have time to do a reread of Witches Steeped in Gold, and I think it's probably quite important to do one, because this doesn't have a recap at the start. I think that's the only thing I would add to this book, is a recap at the start, because this book is 700 plus pages long. That's too long, and yes, it's quite large font, and all of the above, but it was long. And I wouldn't cut any element of the book out, because I actually ended up really enjoying this. I wasn't expecting to, but I thought it was a really good read. However, just very long. I would have maybe liked more warning that it was long, which if you bought the book physically, you would have. I didn't remember much of what happened in Witches Steeped in Gold. I don't know that that ruined my reading experience as such. It just meant it took a little bit longer for me to get up to speed again, because you have to kind of infer things from various places. However, I really enjoyed this. I think this read a little bit older than Witches Steeped in Gold does, which is interesting. I like books that age up with their readers. I think that's something enjoyable. And I really loved the characters. There were some romance plots that were really interesting. I like this idea that's kind of in both books of 2 characters who don't really get on, having to form an alliance, and the communication issues that provides. And it's not just reluctant allies, it's actually kind of more than that in that it's people who actively are working against each other. They just have a common goal right now. So that's really, really fascinating in this book, and a really interesting dynamic to explore, and one that I hadn't really seen explored before. It's, I believe, a Caribbean-inspired setting, which makes for really interesting reading. It's got a lot of those elements woven throughout the story, which I really enjoyed. And yeah, I would recommend it. I think if you're going to read it, give yourself a bit of time. I didn't. That was just how it was. But by the time I got to about the 300-page mark, I was like, yeah, I'm ready, I'm going, I'm towards the end now, which I wasn't, but it felt that way. I would recommend that series if you are interested in it, though be warned, book 2 is much longer. I think, how long is book 1? Okay, book 1 was over 500 pages. 533 in paperback, so maybe I'm talking out of my rubbish, but that's still 200 pages more. I don't think talking out of my rubbish is an expression. Oh well, I'm in the middle of 2 things, both digital. The digital physical book, the ebook that I'm reading is The City Inside. I need to pull up my spreadsheet because I can't remember the names of any of these books. Yes, The City Inside. This is set in Delhi. This is it's so far very, very interesting, kind of to do with social media and the curation of life. I think I'm about 20% of the way through and I'm really, really enjoying it. It's a really evocative world. It's pairs nicely with the audiobook that I'm reading, which I'll come on to, which is interesting because sometimes we do come in phases of reading things that are very similar. But yes, so far I'm really enjoying it. I don't know at all where it's going to go. I haven't quite had that moment of shift yet, or I think I might have done, but it hasn't produced the shift in the story yet. So we're still very much at the setting up what normal life is. So we have our main character Joey, who is living in Delhi and who runs, what are they called? They're called something like Flowsters or something, I can't quite remember, and it's a social media feed, but it's sort of all day, and the curation of those feeds and so such, and I think that we're about to have the change in the story. So yes, very exciting. And then the audiobook I'm listening to is another one that was sent to me by NetGalley, or via NetGalley I should say, is The Memory Librarian by Janelle Monáe, which I've talked about a couple of times in various videos. I very nearly bought myself a physical copy, but I'm really glad that I have the audiobook because I'm really enjoying listening to it, and it's actually Janelle Monáe, so it's like they're telling me a story, and that's very pleasant. So this is a collection of works. I think it is a collection of works. I don't think it is just one story, although so far it has just been one story where I'm listening to it, that are set in the world of their album Dirty Computer, which is a fantastic album. And so far I'm listening to The Memory Librarian, which is by Janelle Monáe. Again, it's in this kind of future world where everyone's memories are stored and used as currency, sort of, and our main character is so far a memory librarian who has met a woman, and I think opinions are changing about various things, or opinions that were always had about things that are somewhat seditious are coming to light, and it's very interesting. I'm always a bit wary about celebrity books, but this really feels like a passion project, and I think the fact that there are so many collaborators makes me really hopeful for it. And yeah, I'm enjoying it so far. So those are my current reads. I would love to pick up, what was the other thing? I would love to pick up Far From the Light of Heaven this week because it's Space Sirens and I would like to finish it. That would be great. And the other thing I'd really like to pick up is actually the first third of Dune. I've had this on my TBR for ages, as you will know if you've been watching for a while. Galanx kindly sent me this lovely copy of it, and I've never read Dune before, and I would really like to. I'm just figuring out what kind of a video I want to make about Dune, if I want to do it as a video, if I want to do it as more check-ins. I haven't quite decided. So yeah, I'm gonna try and pick up the first third of that this weekend. I really do feel like I've got my brain back, which is absolutely fantastic. I've done like 4 different things that I've been putting off for months and months and months, which you don't need to know about. They're not particularly exciting life admin things. But I have also booked in the live show dates for May and June for my Poltergeist level patrons. So if you are one of those and you would like to find those dates, they are on Patreon. Go click the link. I just feel very accomplished in that sense. I really feel like I have brain space again, which is really, really nice. Now I need to use some of that brain space to clean my office because this is very tightly framed for a reason. Do you want to talk about new releases? I've read quite a lot of the ones that come out this week. I have 3 on my list to talk about and I have read 2 of them. I have Siren Queen by Niveau. This is the golden age of Hollywood, but there are literal monsters in the form of various different things and magic aligning with the real world and magical. It's not magical realism in the true sense, but it's very suspension of belief, what is real, what is magic and what isn't, which Niveau writes really well. I absolutely love this. I thought it was fantastic. It's really eerie, it's really interesting. A lot of the themes and issues that it brings up are fascinating to explore in the context of this old Hollywood thing. It would be a really interesting one to read off the back of the Met Gala, I think. The Met Gala theme, I should say. Yeah, I would absolutely recommend this. If you are going to read it, don't be fooled. It's a short book, but it will take you a long time to get through, or at least it has done for me and at least one other person. I think it's something to do with the pace that that it's set up, it takes a little bit while to get going, which is a theme of this video, to be honest. The other one that I have read is Boys, Beasts and Men by Sam Miller. This is a collection of his short stories, but it's a short story collection in which all of the stories are tied together by another story that links between them. So even though all these stories were published at different times, they try and put them all into a narrative within the one book, which works really, really well in this instance. I've seen it done very badly, but in this instance it works fantastically. It's a wonderful set of stories. It's speculative fiction, but very much from the perspective of a gay man, which isn't something I'd read a lot of, I'll confess. And I actually really, really enjoyed this. I think it's really beautiful. Some of the later stories in the book do tackle some elements of the AIDS crisis, and it's just heartbreaking, but it's so wonderfully written. I would definitely recommend. And then on a slightly lighter note, Misrule, the sequel to Malice, is out. I really, really want to read this. I think I'm gonna have to borrow a copy. I would like to do a reread of Malice first, so I was hoping I would read that the week it came out, but I think I'm going to have to catch myself up later in the year. That's the plan. Great! Are there any new releases coming out this week that you are excited about? Let me know what you're reading and what you're up to. Let me know your favourite sore throat remedies. I would love to hear them. Thank you and please. While you're down there commenting, if you haven't already, please do subscribe. It really does help and it makes me feel loved and appreciated. You can also follow me on social media. Come hang out on Discord, where we have wonderful chill chats about books. That's all linked below. Nothing makes me feel more loved and appreciated than my patrons over on Patreon. I've already mentioned you guys. You are the best. Make videos like this possible, give me motivation, and yay! If you'd like to join their number and find out more, that is all linked in the description as well. Thank you so much for watching. That's all from me, and I will see you in the next one. It's gonna be some bloopers now. Someone's gonna actually start making a record of all the times I say stuff like that, and is gonna be like, hey Judith, it's 2024, where's the Chorus of Dragons read along? I'm like, oh, sorry. I really, really, really want to read this. I think I'm... my lungs. Oh, right, time to not talk for several hours.